Am I the a-hole for pressing charges on my uncle at a family barbecue? Original post. I have an allergy to peanuts, and none of my family is willing to accommodate my allergy. When I break out in hives, my urge to skin pick is awful. I went through therapy and tried a lot of things, but I found that compression gloves and sport sleeves help the best, because although it itches, I don't feel as if I need to rip my skin off. So on Wednesday, I arrived at the family cookout about 20 minutes early. Most everyone had to help my uncle set things up, and when I got there, he had almost everything ready. I had already been wearing my sleeves, as I knew there would be peanuts on the tables, and I would come into contact with things that would start making me itchy. Throughout the meal, I kept hearing sideways comments like, "Why does she always wear those sleeves?" I tried to explain that it was to help with my skin-picking habits. However, it seemed as if no one on my mother's side of the family believed me, saying, "It couldn't be possible, because I am a spitting image of my mother. Her genes couldn't possibly have done that, and no one on her side had a peanut allergy." I stayed with my hot dogs and such on the couch in the garage. About 2 hours in, my very clearly drunk uncle started throwing peanuts at my face to test if I was really allergic to them or a liar. Moments later, I began to swell in the face. I went to reach for my bag for my EpiPen and realized it was nowhere to be found. Turns out, before testing their experiment, they took my EpiPen just to make sure that I wasn't playing it up. I immediately called 911, making sure to tell them my full name and address before I was too swollen to speak properly. My aunt, who had been in the house during this whole debacle, came outside, snatched the EpiPen out of my uncle's hand, and administered it to me just before I went unconscious. The police arrived very shortly thereafter, as we were about 4 city blocks from the police and EMS station, and I was promptly wheeled off on a stretcher. After giving my statement at the hospital, I decided to press charges because everything felt like it had intent. My mother says I'm in the wrong and that he was just being a drunk jerk, but this isn't the first time he's put my life in danger. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. That wasn't a prank. That was reckless and could have killed you. Pressing charges is the only reason he might take it seriously. Really, if he got in the car and killed someone in an accident, would people be arguing that he was just a drunk idiot and shouldn't get manslaughter or murder charges? Not even a little bit the a-hole. What your uncle did wasn't just a drunk prank, it was a literal assault that could have killed you. Taking away your EpiPen, your lifeline, just to test your allergy is beyond reckless. That's attempted manslaughter, not some goofy family barbecue hijinks. You did the right thing pressing charges. Actions need consequences, especially when people's lives are at stake. If this isn't the first time he's put you in danger, then honestly, it sounds like it's been a long time coming. Your safety matters more than keeping the peace at a cookout. Hope you're doing okay now and that your recovery is smooth, physically and emotionally. That whole situation is traumatic as hell. The fact that they planned it, down to stealing OP's EpiPen, could be argued as malice aforethought, and if they died, it would likely be murder too. Depraved indifference to human life with manslaughter as a lesser included charge. In my state anyway. Now for the update. I was recently released from the hospital, and I've had little contact with my family since that barbecue. For context, I grew up in the foster system, and I didn't know my biological family. I thought I might try to reconnect with them and was invited to the barbecue to get to know people better. I'm not terribly familiar with my biological family's customs. I did ask my mother before the barbecue if there would be anything served with any type of nuts or nut oils, and she insisted there wouldn't be any sort of nuts at the event. I'm not entirely sure why my uncle doesn't like me. He's been this way ever since I reached out to contact my family through an ancestry test. I had initially reached out to a sibling my uncle had taken in, who is 19 at the current time. When I told him we had matched with 5 siblings born within 10 years of one another, I had thought he knew. My brother was never told that he wasn't my aunt and uncle's child, and that brought along a lot of family drama. I have decided to go forward with pressing charges, and in the meantime, I'm refusing contact with the family. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I plan on never speaking to my brother once I turn 18? Original post. I, 16 male, will keep this as short as possible. My mom and dad divorced when I was 4. I lived with my mom until I was 14, and my brother lived with my dad. He was 20 when I moved up to live with him and my dad. I have another older brother who still lives with my mother, but he isn't relevant in this other than the fact that I am much closer with him. I had to move in because my mother couldn't take care of me. My dad happily let me come live with him. I think the only other relevant backstory is that I have SPD, sensory processing disorder. This affects how sensitive my hearing is. High-pitched and loud sounds are almost painful for me. My sight, very quick moving objects, and flashing lights can overwhelm me. And my touch. I can't stand certain textures or random, unannounced skin-on-skin contact. Everyone in my family knows this and is very accommodating, which I'm always incredibly grateful for. Everyone except my brother. He plays extremely high-pitched audio in my ears randomly. He'll flash lights in my eyes, and he's even told his friends I love hugs so much, and I'm really happy when people randomly hug me. I'm not. It's been like this for the 2 years I've been living with him and my dad, and it's only gotten worse. Most recently, he called me to his room saying he was hurt and needed help. And when I ran into the room, he played his speakers as loud as they could go and turned on strobe lights that he has for whenever he goes to a party. I completely lost it. I felt like I was underwater. I remember scratching at my ears and around my eyes, but other than that, I don't remember much. My dad came and helped me and told my brother not to do it again. My dad always speaks to him about it every time after, and he always says he won't do it again, but he always does. Yesterday was a breaking point for me. I'd been downstairs baking with Dad when he came in and said he was having some friends over in the back garden with social distancing. My dad said that's fine, and my brother asked if he could take out his speaker and put the lights on. Dad asked me if I was okay with that, and I said yes, as long as I got plenty of notice. My brother screamed at me saying, "Oh my God, for once in your life can you be freaking normal? I shouldn't have to warn you of anything. You're so freaking annoying." My dad asked him to stop shouting and he did. He left and my dad asked if I was okay. I told him, why does it matter if I'm okay or not? I've dealt with this for 2 years. Only 2 more and I never have to speak to him again. My dad got upset. He is very close to his 3 brothers, my uncles, and thinks I should just forgive him to patch things up. He said he was disappointed in me for thinking about cutting my brother out of my life. I was always considering going no contact with him because of everything he's done, but after what my dad said, I can't help but think, am I overreacting to this? Would I be the a-hole for cutting him out the day I turn 18? Now for the top advice before reading the update. You are so not the a-hole. Your brother is either mean or crazy or both, and you are right to cut him off. He is a sadist and has fun watching you suffer. Your dad is also an a-hole. Who cares how much he loves his brothers? Good for him, but that has nothing to do with your brother actively trying to harm you every chance he gets. Couldn't you move back with mom? Unless she is also abusive, you'd probably be safer there. And you're old enough to have some say in where you live. Also, can we please stop telling people that you have to love your family no matter what, even when they are abusing you? Nobody should have to put up with abusers simply because they are related to you. People don't have a right to be a part of your life, and if they can't treat you with basic human respect, why should you be required to continue being around them? He said he was disappointed in me for thinking about cutting my brother out of my life. Excuse me? Is he not disappointed in his 22-year-old son who abuses his other son who is still a minor? He has let his adult son live with him, despite the fact that his said son is abusing his other son, and has the audacity to say he's disappointed in you for not wanting to remain in that toxic relationship? What the ever-loving hell is wrong with your dad? He is supposed to protect you, to keep you safe. Instead, he forces you into a dangerous environment because family. He needs to understand that letting your brother do this to you is bound to put you in therapy for years to come and make you resent your dad, and rightfully so. He is morally obligated to protect you. It's high time he gets started. You're not the a-hole, and take it from someone who cut off an abusive family member. It was the absolute best decision of my life, and I have not regretted it for even a split second. You have to protect yourself. Your dad clearly isn't going to. So much this. Just look at your dad next time he says he is disappointed in you for not wanting to be abused and say, well, I am disappointed you are letting me be abused by an adult, so I guess it is disappointment day. Now for the update. So much has happened since I posted this, so I wanted to come and let you know I'm currently typing this safely from my mother's, while my other oldest brother is chucking popcorn at me to catch in my mouth. Thank you so much to everyone who commented and messaged me. What James, fake name, did to me never registered as abuse until it was pointed out to me. I wouldn't have had the courage to do what I did without all of your support, so thank you for saving my life. After reading the comments, I decided to give my dad one last chance to put an end to James's behavior. I sat him down and told him that what James was doing to me was physically painful. How would he like it if someone smacked him and pinched him constantly? He told me he was sorry I felt that way, but I also have to understand how difficult it is for my brother to adjust to having another person in the house. I saw red. I lost it. I screamed at him that a 22-year-old should be able to get used to not being daddy's center of attention, that it was no excuse to exploit my disability to torture me constantly. He didn't say anything, so I walked out. Just left and walked to my favorite skate park nearby. I called my other brother Daniel and told him I needed him to come get me right away. My mom was at work, so I didn't call her. He was there in 20 minutes, and I told him everything James had done and what Dad said to me. I've never seen him as angry as he was. He told me to get into his car, so I did, and he drove us to my dad's. He told me to go pack all my bags and that he was taking me home. Dad tried to talk to me, but I ignored him and just started packing. I couldn't make out everything that was said, but Daniel laid into him, screaming his head off. I didn't have much, so I was packed quickly. He told me to go wait in the car. I found out from him after he came to the car, he was in the house an extra 10 minutes. Then he went to James and told him to never think of contacting either of us again. Apparently, James tried to convince him that it should have just been him and Daniel, that I shouldn't have been born at all, that everything was better before I was. Daniel punched him hard. He had 2 dislocated fingers that he got treated after we left. And that's it. I haven't heard from them since. Daniel told me to write a list of everything that sets off my SPD and that he'd make sure the house is as SPD safe as possible. My mom cried when I told her what happened and promised I always had a place with her and Daniel. Which brings us to now, watching the perks of being a wallflower, typing this with Daniel still chucking popcorn at me. Once again, thank you everyone so much for the support and help. I wouldn't be where I am now if not for it. I would love to know why OP had to move out of his mother's care. He said she wasn't able to look after him, but apparently that got resolved, or whatever the problem was before was deemed, rightfully, to be less serious than putting up with continuous abuse. Screw that crappy brother. All the good and kind genes apparently went to OP and the oldest brother, and just skipped the middle one entirely. I'm guessing financial troubles, illness, or addiction. It sounds a little more like his oldest brother, even though they had a good relation, never really understood, or knew how SPD worked, and that with his brother stepping up and the issues he had at his dad's, it is clear to Mom that the only solution is him living with her. 22 and torturing his 16-year-old brother because little brother had the audacity of having to move into his house, and it's the 16-year-old who needs to be more understanding? Both Dad and James have some serious issues to work through. Always ask a reasonable person to steady the boat. We must steady the boat for the crazy person who is rocking the boat because we know they're too unreasonable to stop. The little psychopath in me has always enjoyed rocking the boat, enough so I could throw the crazy person overboard. Apparently you can out-crazy the crazies. A side effect is having my family members slightly terrified of me. Last story. Am I the a-hole for planning to embarrass my stepmom at the baby shower she's hosting for me next week? I, 23 female, am expecting my first baby with my partner, 26 male, and while I should be excited, I'm instead caught in a web of family drama I didn't ask for. A bit of background. I was primarily raised by my dad after my mom passed. He remarried when I was 13 to my stepmother Mary, 53 female, and our relationship has always been rocky. She's overbearing, boundary stomping, and made my teenage years hell by constantly inserting herself in ways that felt more about control than care. Worse, some serious safety boundaries were violated in my childhood. I was molested by my grandparents, and I still hold my dad and Mary partially responsible for failing to protect me. I've worked through a lot of that in therapy, but it's important context here. Mary decided to host a baby shower separate from the one being planned with my partner's side of the family and our actual friends. She insisted on it being at my dad and Mary's house, and I reluctantly agreed for the sake of peace. My dad has communicated to me so many times over the years that he wants us to be a real family, and I'm trying. Here's where it really blew up. My dad recently confided in me and begged me not to say anything, that Mary invited her father to the shower. This is a man who is openly racist, bigoted, and hyper-religious. I've never had a good relationship with him, and she knows this. She also knows I don't want him around me, much less my future child. In fact, if you look at my post history on my profile, you'll see there was another incident regarding her involving him in my life events a couple of months ago for my college graduation. She was planning to keep his attendance a secret until the day of the shower. So now I'm faced with a situation. Someone who has disrespected my boundaries for years, who enabled an unsafe environment for me as a kid, is once again doing what she wants. This time, it's at an event that's supposed to be about celebrating a new life I'm bringing into the world, with all of her extended family involved, and my dad is essentially just saying, well, you know, Mary. After talking it over with my partner, we've decided that I will still attend the shower. When I see her dad there, I plan to act surprised, then pull Mary aside and calmly tell her that due to her ongoing inability to respect basic boundaries, and now putting her interests above the emotional safety of me and my son, we will no longer be allowing her to be involved in our child's life beyond superficial visits. Specifically, she will not be allowed to watch him alone or be part of his adolescence in any meaningful way. I view this as a pattern, not a one-off. I'm done gambling with our safety and emotional well-being. But my dad is upset, says it's just one afternoon, and that I'm overreacting and holding on to the past. I feel like this isn't just about the past, but a continuation of the same toxic dynamic he's allowed to happen over the past decade. I just don't understand why I'm continuously expected to allow this behavior to occur in order to have a relationship with my dad, who I do genuinely care about. Not the a-hole. Your stepmom is the problem. Your dad is enabling it. And you're the one with a right to protect your emotional space and your child's future. Exactly this. It's exhausting how people expect you to be the bigger person while they're busy being consistently harmful. Protecting your peace isn't mean, it's necessary. Not the a-hole, but if it were me, I just wouldn't even attend. Why tolerate the drama even for a short while? There is a potential for the date to get really out of control if you decide to confront her at the shower while her father is there. And do you really need that stress? Go lower contact than you are currently and erect suitable boundaries to keep your dad in your life, but not Mary. This is definitely the right answer. Don't go and don't subject yourself to needless stress and drama.